Hello everyone and welcome to the CAS online information session. My name's Alex Jones. I'm one of the MBA recruitment managers here at CAS. Originally, I joined about 7 years ago, originally working on the organisational side of the programme, and then about 4 or 5 years ago I moved into recruitment. I'm also joined by two of my colleagues today, Jenny Portowska, who is the head of MBA Careers, and also Alexander Cross, who is the head of leadership and career development at CAS. During this presentation, what we want to really do is take you through some of the key details of the MBA programs and also explore their potential impact on your career. I'm going to assume perhaps that you've had an opportunity to look at our website perhaps already. You might have even downloaded a brochure before. And really what we want to do is provide you with some additional information that you can't find there already. I'm going to talk for about 10 minutes and just give you a bit more of an overview of the programs that we have and talk a bit more about the admissions process. And then I'm going to hand over to Jenny and Alexander, who will talk you through more about the career services. After that, we will have the opportunity for some questions. And as Duncan mentioned, you've got a kind of Q&A box at the moment that you can start asking questions to. We won't answer those questions during the presentation. But afterwards, we will go through those. So please do, when you think of any questions, do start to post them. So to start off with, I'm just going to give you an overview of the different MBA programs we have. We have two campuses, one in London and one in Dubai. So 3 of our MBA programs run in the London campus. We have the which is 12 months in length and starts in September each year. We have 2 versions of our executive MBA. So one that is taught 2 evenings per week, every Tuesday and Thursday. That's predominantly based for people who already live in London or very nearby. And we also have the modular executive MBA, which is a March intake. So that starts in about 6 weeks' time. And that is taught over 1 long weekend per month. So that's Friday through to Monday. So that allows people from all over Europe and even further afield to still come and study at CAS, but travel in once per month, and both of those are part-time 2-year programs. In Dubai, we have a version of the weekend executive MBA. Again, that's over 1 long weekend and starts in September. Your reasons and motivations for undertaking an MBA will be very individual and personal and quite varied often. But I found from my experience that typically it falls into kind of 3 main categories. Some of you will be looking for career progression. Perhaps you've reached a stage where you can't break through to the next level, and so that will be your motivation for doing the MBA. You may be starting to see job adverts where an MBA is a requirement. Others of you are looking to make a change. That could be the industry you're in, the location, the role you carry out within that, quite possibly all 3, which is what we call the triple jump. Others of you will be looking to start your own business. Perhaps you've run a business in the past, it didn't go to plan, and you want to come back, or maybe you've got an idea and you want to know how you can develop that. For some people, this is an immediate plan straight after the MBA. For others, it can be more of a medium-term plan. You might be sat at home listening to this thinking, well, I'm not actually sure which of these apply to me. And that's okay. We want you to be able to use the MBA as an opportunity to explore those options and really give you the tools and the knowledge and the safe environment in which to do that. And there's many ways in which CAS will support you with this and help you. And just a quick overview of those on your screen. And really, we want to make sure that you have a great experience before you join the program, whilst you're here, and as a lifelong member of our alumni network. I think the foundations on which this is built upon is academic excellence. And CAS faculty include leading academics, policy makers, and entrepreneurs. So this means they're world-class practitioners with real industry experience. This means they don't just teach, but they can also consult and advise to top organizations and have their finger on the pulse. They can then bring that knowledge and that experience back into the classroom, ensuring that lectures are not just theoretical, but also touch upon current business scenarios. In the most recent Research Excellence Framework, 84% of CAS business and management research was rated within the top 2 categories, which is world leading and 4 stars. Location is one of CAS's main strengths. We're the only business school that's located within the financial district of London, within the original square mile. And also we're right on the doorstep of Tech City as well. And as I present this to you, I'm literally looking over both of these areas. That they are literally on our doorstep, and we're very much part of that. It's often seen that we have, the money on one side of us, we have the ideas on the other, and we're really kind of perfectly positioned between the two of those. And location is very important. It's particularly important when it comes to networking, to logistically actually be able to go and meet these companies, whether that's for a coffee or whether it's a presentation on our campus. Having that location is vital. It's where the headquarters are based. That the people who you want to meet, the kind of people who are going to be able to get you jobs or create these opportunities, tend to be the ones who are based in the headquarters as well. It also means that when we have events on campus, which we do frequently, whether that's a key speaker coming in, then other people can finish their work, the wider alumni community can come in and also attend those events. Now, those 100-odd people that have come in to attend to hear that speaker, they're the kind of people that you'll be wanting to meet and network with. And in the future, when you're part of the alumni network, it means it's going to be close to you as well. And it's not just about local connections, it's global ones too. There's 9 different international electives available. We have over 45,000 alumni now, spread literally all over the globe. It's about 160 different countries. The classroom you study in will be one of the most diverse environments that you will find yourself within. As I mentioned, we have both a London and a Dubai campus, so there's opportunity for crossover there. And you want to join different clubs and societies as well. This is going to be a great opportunity for you now and also in the future. Just to give you now a bit of an overview of the program structure, whether you go for the full-time MBA or one of the part-time executive MBAs, the structure is quite similar in many ways. The first half of the MBA has been dedicated to the fundamentals of business, and this is taught through the core modules. You also do a fantastic international consultancy week trip. This is based in a different country. You're going to be in a small team, going into a real company, and they're going to be giving you a real problem that they're facing, and they're going to look to you for real solutions. So this is a great opportunity for you to put into practice what you've been learning in the core modules. And also, I think from a personal point of view, it's a nice halfway stage of the MBA where you can really reflect on what you've learned so far. Permeating throughout this is the professional development that the careers team run, and I will leave that to them to talk through in more detail. The second half of the MBA is very much dedicated to tailor-making the MBA to suit your goals. You do this through the electives. We have about 30 different electives available, and also through the final project. So the Business Mastery Project is worth about a quarter of your whole MBA. You can approach it in quite a few different ways, but typically you'll be solving a real business challenge. Now you can do this directly within a company as a research project, or sometimes some of the full-timers do it as a kind of internship type project. This could be a company you found yourself, but also we will have great companies come to us with projects that they would look for students to take on board. This project should be used as a stepping stone into the next stage of your career. A lot of the executive MBA students will choose to do it within the organization they work in. Other approaches are doing it more as a broader research piece, like a more traditional dissertation into a wider industry area. This sets you up very well when it comes to having interviews and looking to make that transition. For those of you with your own idea, you could do exactly that, and you could create your own business plan. Just going to finish on the last couple of slides here, just to give you an idea of application dates. So on the executive MBA programs, it's done on a rolling basis. For the full-time MBA, we have specific rounds. So the next round that is open is the 10th of February. So there's a couple of weeks in which you can still meet that. And there will be some other rounds coming up. When you're ready to submit, I would just encourage you to do it. We're not going to wait until that deadline, until we assess your application. If your application is good and is complete, we'll start moving it forward once you submit it. The fees, you can find a lot more information about this on the website, but that on the screen is the kind of the range from about £44,000 to about £50,000. There's different scholarships available as well, and also there's different loan companies. Prodigy comes up a lot, and Santander is one of the high street lenders. If you are an exec student and looking for sponsorship, we have a great business case to help you with that. So do get in touch if you'd like that to be shared with you. Just finally, before I hand over to Jenny and Alexander, What's next? Well, I would certainly recommend after this session for you to send your CV through to us. We can give you some feedback on that in relation to your suitability to the MBA program. You can submit that through the website or the email on your screen, cas-mba@city.ac.uk. There is the opportunity to speak with current students or alumni. If you're going to be in London, we have great events on campus. Also, there's opportunities to sit in on classes as well. So all of those, like I said, I would get in touch via the email address on your screen. And of course, the important thing is you need to apply if you want to be considered. That's done online as well. You don't have to go through all these steps first, but there are various different points of contact you can take on. I'm now going to hand over to my colleagues. First of all, it will be Alexander Cross, and he's going to start the presentation in relation to careers. Thank you.
Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. My name is Alexander Cross and I am Head of Leadership and Career Development within CAS Careers and Professional Development team here at CAS. I've been at CAS for about 5 years now and I'm responsible for the design, delivery and review of our MBA Professional Development curriculum across all courses, and also to make sure that there's high quality career coaching and advice and specialist support available to our students. And yearly, on an individual basis, I conduct about 200 career coaching sessions with MBAs. Prior to that, I had 13 years working as a consultant in talent assessment and leadership development with lots of big global companies like BP and Toyota. So in terms of what we do, you'll see on the screen here, this is really our vision from within the careers team. Just to give you a little bit of information about the key features really when we're designing our curriculum, we aim to make sure that everything is really highly practical in terms of design. In terms of the program of workshops that run alongside your core MBA program, we offer a lot of small group sessions where you're working with subject matter experts and with members of the careers team, where you receive lots of feedback, you get to practice the tools and models and tips being shared by those experts. And I would say that our activity really falls into two main streams. One is to help you develop the core career development and career management knowledge that will help you reach your aspirations in terms of your next step and across the whole scope of your career moving forward. And then a very strong focus on employability skills development. So that's really assisting you to deploy and to transfer those skills into different types of careers and to achieve promotions, so that, or actually if you're looking to start your own business, so to develop those employability skills that will help you be successful, whatever your next step or your next goal is. We also offer a lot of one-to-one tailored advice and coaching. We really centre that around 3 key steps of career development. We focus on self-assessment and helping you to develop self-awareness, how to think about quality research and to conduct quality networking to help you reach your career goals, and to really get into the nitty-gritty with you of good planning, whether that's planning your next career step in your current organisation, trying to search other organisations of interest, or thinking about how to make really effective applications if you're looking to make a career change. In terms of a particular situation, I thought I'd share a quote from a recent graduate who said the careers office is where the rubber meets the road as far as the MBA goes, where you get your first and subsequent indications of whether the year's academic enrichment and personal development will actually land you a better job. And obviously better job will mean different things to different people. That particular student made a significant career change at the end of the course. And we worked with them really carefully to develop a coherent career story, to provide advice on networking. And they really made the most of the alumni network, both in the City of London and New York, and found their final project and job that way, actually. And then provided lots of advice around interview and assessment. That student actually made a significant change from hospitality into financial services. In terms of MBA career development, As Alex says, lots of students are looking to make some kind of career change or shift at the end of the course, or sometimes during the course. That can often be a transition that includes a change of function or sector, possibly a promotion, or possibly in terms of establishing their own business. To give you some examples, from our recent full-time MBA survey, based on responses from the students who filled in the survey, 91% made a career change, 35% made what we would call a triple jump change, which means at the end of the course they change function, sector and location. And in terms of specific destinations, 33% headed towards consulting, 29% financial services, 10% into technology focused roles, and 15% moved into entrepreneurship and running their own business. And actually, typically, we find that the top 3 destinations do tend to be consulting, financial services, and technology. In terms of designing our curriculum, our coaching curriculum and our professional development curriculum workshops, just to give you an idea of how we really devise the content and keep developing it, we really base that on a few things. Conversations with employers to find out exactly what they're looking for from experienced hire candidates and MBA candidates in particular. We look at employer surveys and presentations, conferences, and we also work very closely with students, and by doing that can analyse their kind of job targets and look at the types of application processes they have to go to really understand what employers are looking for from an MBA talent pool. This list I'm sharing with you here in terms of the types of skills employers are looking for is taken from the 2017 GMAC survey. That's the Graduate Management Admissions Council, which is a great resource if you're thinking about MBAs. What's interesting to show here is just the strong emphasis put on those portable, transferable employability skills that I mentioned earlier. There's a really strong focus here on communication skills. And great communication skills are actually consistently one of the core things that employers say they're looking for in MBA talent that generally can be quite difficult to find when they're looking for top talent. If you become a CAS MBA, we provide you with a number of different tools and resources throughout your time and as an alumni to help you really focus your development and think about career success. One tool I wanted to share with you that features within our handbook and employability journal is this CAS MBA leadership framework that was developed by the careers team about 3 years ago now. The way that was developed was really to look at what are the underlying characteristics, behaviours and skills that indicate high performance and high potential within a very large number of key employers. All of those skills are featured within the leadership framework. We also made sure it included all the distinct areas you've got the opportunity to develop in whilst you're on the MBA. That's all the core module content, all the experiential elements, and also learning from things like group work and international opportunities. And we also made sure it has all the mix of skills that employees, investors and clients expect from that MBA talent pool. The kind of way you could use this is to assess yourself against this framework at the beginning of your MBA, orient yourself around the skills where you've got considerable bench strength already, but also map out where I really want to develop as an MBA to reach my career goals in the future. And we as the careers team often work with people looking at this model to set their next career goals and development goals. I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Jenny.
Hello, my name is Jenny Portelsky and I'm head of the MBA Careers team. My background was I was an occupational psychologist for about 15 years before I joined CAS, working particularly in this space of assessing and development the future leaders of tomorrow. So working with global corporates on looking really at their leadership pipeline. I've had the pleasure of being with CAS now for 8 years. So I've had the opportunity to work with many MBA students across their transitions. And like Alexander, I work across all of our programs, so our London-based exec programs, Dubai, and the full-time MBA. So I'm going to talk you through some of the practicalities of how we would work with you if you were to join CAS. So first of all, in terms of the careers and professional development team, who are we? So firstly, you have the opportunity to work with a fantastic internal team. So we're all based at CAS, and we are really from backgrounds of talent management professionals. So have all spent many years working in recruitment, assessment, training and coaching. And we've all come from a variety of corporate backgrounds before we joined CAS. We also have deep expertise in terms of working with MBAs, so in terms of working with them on their career development and career transitions. We also have a pool of external coaches that you would work with, and these are individuals who particularly have expertise in certain areas. So for example, if you were thinking of setting up your own business, you could work with our entrepreneurship coach, or you might be looking to move into consulting, and you might work with the coaches there. Finally, we have a fantastic pool of expert training providers. So we have both on the executive MBA and the full-time MBA, a large professional development curriculum of workshops, and you would work with leading training providers in those areas. How do we work with you throughout your time at CAS? Well, we work with you in 4 key areas. So in group settings, workshops, through our resources, through one-to-one coaching, and through corporate engagement. So firstly, I'm going to talk you through the group setting. So on all programs, you have a large curriculum of professional development, as I mentioned. And these courses are designed to focus and develop your skills in the critical areas that employers are looking for. And as Alexander mentioned, really some of the areas where employers find it very hard to find excellent skills in these areas. So this is just some of the examples of workshops that we provide. So just to touch on a couple, for example, communication skills is one of the key skills that employers look for. So we design and place great emphasis in this area. So we deliver sessions such as negotiation skills, executive presence, and we have a whole suite, so a leadership communication series where you can really develop your personal impact when interacting with others. We've had feedback from some consultancies we've worked with that actually if our students were even better in terms of developing slides, that would have a fantastic impact when they join organizations. And as consultancy is the key area our students move into, or one of them, then that's a really fantastic course to join. Also, if I was to take another one, art of strategic questioning. So this course really looks at the science behind how delivering a really impactful question can have a really positive impact on your audience. We also, as you would expect, deliver many career management workshops, such as how to develop impactful CVs, how to develop your LinkedIn profile, interview skills, and how to effectively network for career success. So 70 to 80% of our students will get their next roles through networking. So it's really important to develop this skill. If you were to join our full-time program, CAS dedicates a whole day a week to your career development. So it shows how seriously the school takes this. On the evening executive program, your professional development curriculum is delivered at the weekends. And on the modular program, this takes place during your teaching weekends. As part of your professional development curriculum, we have key accelerator events called the Achieving Your Potential program. On the full-time MBA, we are the only business school in the world to have the opportunity to go to the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst, where our students spend 3 days developing their leadership, partnership, and followership skills with a leading leadership consultancy called IDG. Our executive programs, they spend a weekend with a consultancy called Eye Opener, really doing a deep dive into where they are now in their career and where would they like to be. And they use a Achieving Your Potential model, which is linked to happiness at work, really to show how you can make sure that you are delivering with confidence, contribution, conviction, to make sure you really get to achieve your potential within your career. So I've touched on the group setting, but we also invest heavily at CAS on online career resources. So these are really critical to your career research. So just to give one example to bring it to life, we have a resource called First Hand, where as a student, you get to set up a Skype call or telephone call with an individual in any field that you might be interested in. So you might want to get advice with someone working in that company, get to do interview practice or maybe case practice, or really do some deep research with an individual that really works in an organization that you might have interest in working with. As Alexander mentioned previously, you also have the opportunity to have one-to-one coaching, whether it be with a member of the internal team or an external coach. And at CAS, we have you have unlimited access to one-to-one coaching. So we don't cap the number of sessions that you might need during your time at CAS. Another key part of the careers and professional development curriculum is part of our role is to create opportunities for you to connect with corporates. And as Alex mentioned, we're based in the centre of London, and this allows for fantastic diversity of how organisations get to connect with you. So here are a few examples on the screen. So we have a very active societies and clubs that our students set up and really get to independently network across the city and bring in leaders from different fields to present and work with our students. Then there are other sessions that you might expect. So we have on-campus company presentations. We also, as our programs are between sort of 50 and 60 at CAS, we run breakfast with sessions. So in the morning, you might have an intimate breakfast session with, say, 8 to 10 students, and then an alumni or a business leader having the opportunity to really converse in small groups with them. We have panels. So tomorrow we actually have a consulting panel where we've got 6 consultancies coming in, and our students get to network with each of these consultancies. So our students really get some face time with these different organizations. Then Alex mentioned at the beginning, so companies will engage with us on our final dissertations, our projects, and that can be a great opportunity to really do an in-depth piece of research with a company. And we deliver many panels. So some just recent panels we've delivered have been on things like sustainability, travel technology, fintech, retail, investment, consulting, and as you may expect, financial services. So, and our next slide really just shows a few pictures of bringing some of this to life at CAS. So on the top right, that's one of the breakfast with sessions that I mentioned. On the bottom right, it's an example of a company presentation, and on the top left, that's one of our panel events that we ran within the consulting arena. Our students have really diverse career aspirations. We work very closely with them to really try and tailor which organisations might engage with us at CAS during your time here. And this is just an example of some of the organisations that came on campus during the academic year of 17-18. And finally, Alex, based on his experience in terms of the type of questions that students ask him, we just wanted to try and summarize some of the key differences, because there are differences if you join the full-time MBA or one of our executive MBA programs. Now, whilst our executive MBAs certainly do make career transitions, and Alexander and I have worked with many, if we were to really simplify it for you, I would say that those looking to join the full-time MBA are individuals often, obviously, that have left their position and want to make some type of career transition, whereas an executive MBA might be looking really to make career progression. In terms of dedication of time, our full-time MBAs, simply because they're not working, have 2 weeks careers orientation with us at the beginning, followed 5 weeks later by a full week, which includes the Achieving Your Potential program. And then every Thursday is dedicated to careers. On the executive MBA, there are compulsory and both optional sessions delivered in both teaching weekends on the modular or weekends for the EMBA. I've talked through the differences on the Achieving your potential week and weekend. In terms of employer engagement, this differs again between full-time and executive MBA. So our full-time, because they're not working, they have things like a CV book developed, a profile book, and companies come on campus to target our full-time MBAs. There is still a huge variety of opportunities for corporate engagement on the executive MBA, but obviously you need to think about, if you were flying in on a modular program from Friday to Monday, that's not when our corporates are going to be delivering presentations. So you would need to look at a more individual networking approach. And on our evening program, if you're in lectures in the evening, obviously there'll be some evening engagement you could choose to do on top of your MBA, but that really comes down to kind of your motivation and time from that perspective. In terms of career coaching, our executive and full-time MBAs obviously have full access to career coaching, but as our full-time MBA are with us on campus every day, you actually have a dedicated careers contact who will work with you throughout the year. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over back to Alex.
Excellent, thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Alexander. So yeah, I think that will have given you a much more detailed understanding of the careers services on offer and the kind of breadth of them. I've worked here for 7 years, and although I know a lot about it, every time I speak to Alexander and Jenny, I learn more about the different things we do, because there are a whole variety of ways which we help, and that's ever changing and evolving as well. Now I think we have had a few questions come in, so I'm just going to go through some of those at the moment and give you answers. On the screen, so you know, the email address on there at the moment. If you've got questions afterwards, or you want to talk more about kind of your individual suitability for the program, then I can certainly do that. So let's have a look at some of the questions here. So let's start off with one first of all, about when you've actually finished the program, do the careers services continue? So once you're an alumnus or alumni of the program, is it still possible to have access to that? Jenny, are you able to answer
Yeah,
that?
sure. I think, as Alex mentioned at the beginning, you might only come and study at CAS for a year or 2 years, but you really do get the chance to be part of the CAS community. And actually last Friday we had an event with over 200 alumni and students that we've known for many years. And so as a student, you have the opportunity to have lifelong access to most of our careers resources as an alumnus, but also you have the opportunity to have up to 3 years out face-to-face coaching. But if you know, we don't always like to be so sort of hard on that. If we have got capacity, you know, we will always want to kind of support our students in their future career changes and career development. And actually many of our alumni, you know, it's fantastic. They will actually come back and be part of panels as well, deliver campus presentation. So you really do stay within the community, and we will always look to support you where you can after you have studied at CAS.
Definitely, thank you, Jenny. Yeah, and just one point to actually add on that, a great feature of being part of CAS alumni and the MBA program is once you finish, you can actually come back each year and do a free elective on the program as well. So there's opportunities to come back and study something relevant in order to you know, upskill again, or maybe as the business business world changes around us, it's something that is good for you to come back to. A question here: what is the international diversity of your EMBA program? So I can give some insight with regards to that. I mean, typically, so I'd say the average executive MBA program has around 45-50 students on it, and typically we're looking at around about 20 different nationalities represented out of that, which is pretty much every other person. Same for the full-time MBA, typically maybe around 70 students, 75, normally with kind of 30, maybe a little bit more nationalities on there. So that is a huge part of the program. Gender balance as well is typically a little bit above the kind of industry norms at CAS. I think the modular executive MBA program that is starting at the moment is looking like 50-50. has been 50-50 in the past, and the full-time MBA is around about 60-40 male to female, and that is something that we are actually actively trying to close that gap. There's various different scholarships we have available. There's a specific global women's leadership program that was launched in conjunction with Coca-Cola Foundation, so that it's a goal to reach 50-50 across those programs. And yeah, certainly on the nationality that's diverse, and of course diversity is about industry area as well. And again, it is a full range of different industries that you will find. And that actually leads on to one of the other questions, which is, how do you set people up in groups? Do you mix people into different groups? Certainly, yeah, on the MBA program, that is something that will be actively done. I think there is some pre-assessment in relation to that as well. But yes, whether it be the course director, through that, there will be making sure that people from different industry areas, different skills will be working together, because a big part of how you're going to be learning on this program is going to be through those group projects, through those exercises that you do. So yes, that is something that will definitely happen. Okay, so the question here, which I think is suitable for the careers department: if I enroll on the executive MBA program, am I still allowed to attend networking events that are set up for the MBA course? I don't know if
yeah.
Jenny wants to take that.
So there are a variety of networking events that happen at CAS. So that could be run by the faculty. It could be conferences, it could be part of our Dean's Lecture Series, could be part of the electives, as Alex mentioned, or it could be careers related. So as part of the alumni community, obviously I'm not sure which networking events you're referring to, but there is a huge opportunity to still stay engaged with CAS and be invited to many different events. Our alumni team also run events around the world, because obviously also post-CAS you might not be in the UK, and we have alumni ambassadors in different regions around the world that will really look to continue to create events and keep the CAS community together and connected.
Excellent, thank you, Jenny. Okay, just looking at the next question. Okay, how do people find their jobs? I think is the best way of summarising that question.
Yeah, so I mean, there are obviously lots of different routes to finding jobs, from working with recruitment agents through to headhunters, etc. However, we find that 70 to 80% of our MBA students, when surveyed, will say they found their next role, their next opportunity, through some form of networking. And actually that figure is pretty congruent with most MBAs internationally when they're surveyed. That's not unusual to CAS specifically. And when I talk about networking, that doesn't mean that you through an event or a face-to-face meeting, you meet somebody, build some trust with them, and they immediately offer you a job. You don't circumvent necessarily the formal recruitment process. However, through networking, students will often be conducting their research about organisations they want to target of interest. They'll be confirming their interest in that organisation. They will be gathering intelligence that will help them make the very best applications when they need to, if a job comes up in that organisation. But most importantly, through networking, they're often accessing the hidden jobs market. So they're often finding out about jobs before they've been advertised, and finding out about jobs that may not actually get actively advertised and be very easy to find. So by doing that, they're putting themselves ahead of the competition, fundamentally.
Okay, thank you very much, Alexander. Right, another question for the careers department here. So during or after the full-time MBA program, is there an opportunity for an internship in a desired industry? Jenny?
Yeah, so we have a 1-year full-time program, as Alex mentioned, from September to September. And during the final 3 months of the program, although there might be 1 or 2 electives you're doing, our students undertake their BMP. So this is thinking about the full-time MBA. And the BMP, as we mentioned, is where you will work, potentially, if you choose to, with an organisation, doing a piece of research and being within that organisation for approximately kind of 3 months. So it's not necessarily an internship in terms of actually you will be working with that company to a piece of research. Because that's linked to your MBA, obviously, you know, you are studying, it gives you the opportunity to be engaging during that time with an organization. So you certainly get the opportunity to be engaging with a corporate during that time.
Excellent, thank you. Right, there's a couple of questions that I think I will address, and then we'll move on to a couple more for the careers team. So someone is asking here in relation to scholarships and opportunities there. So yeah, we have a range of different scholarships available. They vary in amount depending on which program it is, but the maximum amount is 50% of fees. There's various different categories available. You know, they're designed to be inclusive, so you should find that there is, you know, at least one or two of the categories there that would be suitable for you. For the scholarships, you need to apply for those, and then once your application is complete, if we were to be making you an unconditional offer, then a panel will also make a decision on those scholarships. If you were unsuccessful with the scholarships, or actually even if you didn't apply for those specifically, we do have somewhat we call financial awards that we will automatically consider you for. These vary from program to program, the maximum amount being 30%, and they vary in amount. Now, I don't think you can fully rely upon scholarships and awards because they are very competitive. However, you can, of course, increase your chances by demonstrating yourself to be a very strong candidate. Certainly on the full time, we look for GMAT, so getting a good score there, your performance interview as well, your work profile. All of these things that we're looking at for considering you for the program will also be used in that kind of consideration too. I would certainly refer you to our website to look in more detail of the different categories. Leads into the next question. So I'm asking, can you apply for student loan? Now, I don't believe you can go. Sorry, this is specifically someone who's a British citizen based in London. My understanding is the student loans process isn't used for MBA programs. However, there are a range of different loans out there, and a lot of students do turn to those. You know, perhaps they're kind of funding it from a few different ways, and that is often one of them. A name that you will see crop up a lot is Prodigy Finance. I think they were set up deliberately to lend to people who want to study postgraduate programs, and that's based, you know, British citizens and also around the world as well. High street lenders in the UK, I think Santander and Barclays do things like professional development loans, so you could look into that as well. I've just seen another question pop up which kind of just linked into some of that, so I'm just going to address that straight away, which is GMAT necessary for the executive MBA program? It's not, no. We ask a greater level of work experience, so a minimum of 5 years, although actually on average our students have about 12. So we feel that we've got enough kind of in your application to go on from there. The GMAT is just something we look for on the full-time MBA, and that's a score of 600 and above. Someone's asked, again, linking into that, so I'll address it now. You know, what is the most important part of the application? I mean, it is split into quite a few different areas. I think fundamentally your work experience for both programs is key. You know, how are you going to be able to contribute on this program? And, you know, generally having more experience is better, but it's not just about, okay, the person with the most numbers of years passed is better than someone with less years. It's about what you've achieved during that time, what your career progression has been, you know, how are you going to be able to contribute within that classroom? So that is a very big part of it, and you can talk more about that through the essays you write, the references you provide, and also in the interview. And the interview, yeah, that's a pretty big part of the assessment. It will be one of the academics that would conduct that, possibly the course director. They want to find out more about you as an individual, more about what you're going to bring along to the program, and also, crucially, what do you want to get out of it? You know, are we a good fit for each other? So the feedback from that interview is an important part of it as well. And yeah, for the full-time MBA, the GMAT is one of those elements too, and your general academic record as well. But I think, you know, we will look at things holistically. So sometimes people don't quite fit one that, or they're better in one area than the other. That's something that we can certainly discuss with you on a case-by-case basis. Right, just leading on to a couple of questions that came in for the careers team. So asked here, coming from engineering backgrounds, particularly telecommunications, could the careers team recall any examples of students who have completed a CAS executive MBA program and benefited in terms of career advancement?
Yes, well, I've actually worked with quite a lot of engineers since I've been at CAS, and actually find that a really enjoyable transaction working with engineers. I would just say, in terms of career advancement, if you're talking about staying on track and using your technical expertise as an engineer, combining that technical expertise with all of the additional development you would get on an MBA in terms of thinking strategically, learning possibly more around finance and budgets, developing your people management and leadership skills through things like organizational behavior and those modules. That works in the same as any profession. It can really help you build a profile internally with your business where you could look for more senior roles. And I've just certainly worked with engineers who have moved from kind of team lead positions into head of function and into more senior roles. So that's absolutely beneficial doing an MBA in that way. But I've also worked with a lot of engineers who have made quite significant career transitions. And actually, if you can put in the effort and articulate your skill set very well, that can be very attractive to employers. In particular, employers can make some good assumptions that engineers are quite analytical. They've had roles where they've been very focused on continuous improvement and efficiency driving. So yes, that can be a really good skill set alongside the MBA to think about leveraging a career transition. And I've worked with recently a subsea engineer and a manufacturing engineer who have both moved into different types of consulting roles, actually, which is quite a big change.
Excellent, thank you. So next question, which I'll direct towards Jenny. I think so. They were looking at the average age of our typical students, and in this case, the person asking the question is 37. So do we think that is too old for the full-time MBA?
Yeah, so I think our average age on the full-time MBA tends to fluctuate, you know, between 31, kind of 32, around that. But obviously that's just an average. So I've had the pleasure of working with students who are younger than that and obviously older than that. So I'm currently working with one of our full-time MBAs who happens to be, you know, in their late 60s. I've worked with full-time MBAs who are in their mid-40s and also in their mid-50s. So age per se, obviously, you know, you're not too old to be learning. You're certainly not too old to be part of the full-time MBA. I think the interesting part is to obviously have a conversation, you know, send your CV into the recruitment and admissions team, because it'll be interesting just to explore what your career aspirations are. So more to think, as we mentioned, between the full-time or the exec, you know, what is it that you're wanting to do with the MBA? What are your career aspirations? But I certainly wouldn't want you to think, you know, age on its own, of course, in no way is a barrier.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. Okay, next question. So this is actually coming from someone who's applied for our modular Ember. Again, I would encourage the person to get in touch afterwards, and again, we can kind of talk through things on a more one-to-one level. But I think some of the questions are quite good in general as well, that will be relevant for other people listening. So for the modular executive MBA, also the evening executive MBA, the question is, how important is GMAT and IELTS? Well, GMAT you don't need to do. I mean, if you've done it and you've got a great score, then why not mention it on your application? But it's not something that we're going to be asking for. IELTS, yeah, I mean, we do have a certain level of kind of English that we expect you to be able to have mastered, and yeah, we may well ask for the IELTS test to do that. For the full-time MBA, if you need a visa, then you definitely, and you're not from an English-speaking country, then yes, you will definitely need to do IELTS. For the executive MBA, because you're not going to be applying for a Tier 4 visa, we can assess some of that just through your application. So through your interview, through the essays that you write as well. So if you can continue to demonstrate that you've got a good grasp of the English language and that you're going to be fine on the program, then that will be sometimes sufficient. But yeah, on the full-time MBA, it's often driven by, do you need a visa to study in the UK? In which case, if you're not from an English-speaking country, then you will need to. And an important point on that is we would need you to IELTS the academic version. We can't accept TOEFL anymore. There's also one called PTE, which is Pearson Test of English, so that is not alternative. With regards to projects on the program on the executive MBA, Well, yeah, I mean, there are various different hands-on projects you'll do, and we've kind of touched on some of them. The consultancy trip is a big one. That's in the midway point of your MBA. That's on both the full-time and the executive. Here you're going to a different country. You'll be going into a real business with a real business problem, and you and the rest of your small team will be expected to give them real solutions to that. And you have the week in which to investigate further, to apply what you've learned, and then at the end deliver that to them. And it is a great way for you to be working within a a live case study in that instance. And the full-time MBA, there's also a strategy project that you do that's based in London and the company there. And of course, with the business mastery project, if you're an executive MBA student, I think the majority probably will do that within the companies they're working for. You're not restricted to that. It is down to you, but that's a route a lot of them will do. And you can then use that project to help you, get that next position that you're looking for. I know students that have identified a need within their organization and then followed through that project afterwards. Again, and then just one other question that came in relation to, do we have a special MBA for the medical field? We don't specifically have an MBA within that. I mean, a lot of people do approach things with regards to kind of, can they have a specialism? I mean, through the electives, a lot of people add specialism. We do have connections within the executive education area within the medical industry, so there might be some areas there that you can develop. And look, this final project that you do, the business mastery project, you can put the what focus you want on that. And I know students on the full-time MBA that have gone into healthcare consulting roles afterwards, and they use the project to help with that as well. We have a medical leadership MSc as well, so there'll be bits of network that you can cross into there. And if you look on LinkedIn, there's a great resource actually, and I'd encourage you to do this. If you go onto our LinkedIn, put Cass Business School into the search, there's a section where you can click see alumni. If you put something like GSK into there, you will see the various different senior people and other people who have done their MBAs at Cass and then gone on to work there, and people who have studied in wider Cass and City programs. So yeah, it's not a specialized medical MBA, but you can still focus on areas such as that. I think we've got time for maybe just a couple more questions before we draw things to a close. One that's coming, maybe just someone's asked if we could give any specific examples, perhaps with regards to the final project that students have done. So Jenny, I don't know if you could help with that.
So I think we mentioned a couple of times, our students can do the 3-month research project. And if you're an exec, you may choose to do it with your company or not, but on the full time, students will either actively sort of engage with the company themselves, or we advertise projects. So and it's across so many sectors. It's a really kind of fantastic, diverse opportunity with different organizations. So some of the ones we've had recently is with financial services such as Equitech. We've had projects with GSK, Johnson & Johnson, or it could be something within the sports field. So we've had a few there. So last year it was Williams Formula One, or luxury. So we've done projects with Moet, also Fintricity. So the fintech space is also where a lot of companies are interested in engaging with our MBA talent. So it's really diverse. And the project topics can be really diverse as well. Typically, it obviously is of a strategic nature. So it can be about M&A, it can be about growth, it can be about moving into new markets, or it might be more focused, so on organizational development or improving operations and efficiencies. But again, it's really diverse. Again, topics can be around, hot topics can be around fintech, digitalization. So again, very diverse.
Thanks, Jenny. Okay, so we're just going to finish off with a couple of questions now. One that I'm going to direct towards Alexander, and then I'll finish off the last question. So next question that's come in, are there any pre-program MBA activities that I can be getting involved in with the careers team? So Alexander.
Yes, the answer to that is yes, quite simply. For instance, on the full-time MBA over the summer, we are in touch with you to give you some structured advice around how to develop a very clear profile that we include in our profile book. that we share with our employer contacts and database. However, I'm also going to say watch this space a little bit, because we're currently continuing to develop our virtual learning environment, which we call Brightspace, within the careers team. It was actually launched just over a year ago to our 23 specialist master's students. So we have 1,500 specialist master's students who become part of your network as soon as you join, actually. And about 1,000 of those network access this learning system and virtual learning environment before they started last year. We are building that up for the MBA, and in particular, if I think about the full-time MBA program, we're looking at pre-joining activities for you to complete around developing a really strong value proposition that you can use when you're out networking and meeting with prospective employers and contacts pre-start. As I say, developing your profile for the profile book, starting to develop a really effective CV and LinkedIn profile pre-start. And as I say, watch this space, because we're also looking at other modules that you'd be able to potentially access pre-start, but also continue to use and access while you're a student and an alumni.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to finish with one last question, which is related to how long does the process take? So this is related to the application to the MBA. So typically we're looking at about 3 to 4 weeks. So the admissions team are very, very good. They process things very efficiently, and the more complete your application can be, the quicker we can progress. And really, what we're looking to do is get your application complete, and if it's strong and we like it, then it's moving on to that interview stage. So yeah, I think on average it's around 3 to 4 weeks, but it can even be quicker than that if you can provide all your documents right at the start. So yeah, I think that concludes the questions. I think afterwards, said if you've got other questions about the MBA program itself or the admissions process, then I would recommend you email us at cas-mba@city.ac.uk. Then you can send your CV through to us, and then we can give you some feedback on that initially, and then perhaps the next step, set up a phone call with either myself or one of the other members of the team. Okay, thank you very much.